Good Thursday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I am your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go and talk about the weather for your Thursday evening going into your future. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Thursday, and we are about to go on and get started. But first, like we always do, if you have not hit the like button or the subscribe button yet, go on and do so. Also, hit the share button. Share it with all the people that you know. We right now have 4 people watching, and we only have 3 likes, so if you're a part of that group that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. And also hit the subscribe button. We're at 586 trying to get to 600. Also, what are we going to be talking about tonight? Obviously, we will be talking about the tropics. That's like the main thing right now that everybody's talking about right now, just pretty much in the weather community right now. Everyone's talking about the tropics, what in the world is going to happen with this. And so I will be talking about that as well. We also will be talking about that isolated flood risk that will continue. And then, other than that, we'll talk about just our future in terms of that rainfall. And then after that, I think we'll be out of here for tonight. Just because the tropics is probably just going to be a huge discussion on what in the world is going to happen there, because the models have came out and it's not really looking too great for us. Not really looking too great. But again, we'll get to all of that once we get there. But starting off first, like we always do, what is going on throughout the entire state of South Carolina? We do have some rainfall that's going on inside the upstate right now as we speak. Same thing over here inside of the PD area, Bennettsville, going into Florence, Darlington, and then up here into Cheraw, we have rainfall going on up there. Now, what about the entire U.S.? You have rainfall that goes on from Florida to Georgia to Alabama to South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, going into New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Maine. Rainfall and even some flash flooding threats go on from like California to Nevada to Utah and to Arizona. We also do have some rainfall over here inside of New Mexico. Now, what about our cloud cover? We do have some cloud cover going on right now inside of the upstate. And some of that isolated scattered cloud cover will move down into the actual low country and into the PD area as well. Southern Midlands also has a little bit of a risk as well for some isolated cloud cover to move through. And in terms of what's going to happen with that cloud cover in the future, it's going to continue to keep pushing to the west. But as soon as it makes it to the coast, you can see it kind of dissipates. This is tomorrow morning. Still cloud cover going on up there inside the upstate. But you're not really seeing it too much inside of like the low country. And especially now you can see over there in the Grand Strand area near the coastal regions. Now, as you get more and more into the afternoon, it looks like that cloud cover will start to succeed a little bit more. But it just starts off to struggle. Current temperatures right now, 79 in Columbia, as well as 80 in Orangeburg, 78 in Somerville, and 78 in Georgetown, 79 in Myrtle's Inland, 79 in Myrtle Beach, 77 in Conway, and 79 in North Myrtle Beach. We also do have around, let me go in and get my screen pulled up, because apparently that wasn't pulled up. We also do have around 79 in Charleston, and even 77 inside of Aiken. We also have 80 in Beaufort, 73 in Lawrence, and 72 in Greenville, 73 also in Spartanburg, and 73 in Gaffney, 74 in York and Rock Hill, and even 73 in Clemson and Anderson. Now, for your low temperatures for tonight, you have around 68 in Greenville, 68 in Spartanburg, as well as 68 in Rock Hill, 70 in Columbia, 71 in Orangeburg, 70 in Walterboro, 74 in Charleston, 75 in Hilton Head Island, and 72 in Moncks Corner, 70 in Kingstree, and 71 in Sumter, Florence, Dillon, 74 in Myrtle Beach, and 73 in Georgetown. Now, for your rainfall for tonight, good amount of rainfall is possible as we move through the next 24 hours or so. 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch goes in from Charleston, goes into Georgetown, goes into Myrtle Beach. Also goes into Spartanburg, Anderson, Greenwood, and then maybe even a 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch possible for Barnwell, going into Orangeburg, Sumter, Moncks Corner, and then maybe even Dillon and Rock Hill. Quarter of an inch to a half an inch also for Cheraw, going into Florence, and then maybe even some other regions that might just not be highlighted. And somebody could potentially even get a half an inch to an inch. It's possible. It's not going to be too widespread, but somebody could potentially get a half an inch to an inch of rainfall. Now, what about the crazy score? We're actually at a 28. This morning, we were at a 56. Now we're down to only to a 28. Still inside the mild category. Still inside the mild category, but due to patchy fog potential, especially after midnight. And then we'll also still see some localized flood risk, but for the most part, that's pretty much settling up. And isolated showers are still going on, and the atmosphere just is not stable. It's pretty unsettled. Upper trough and approaching cold front maintain moist southwesterly flow, and then some mid-level drying may enhance the fog potential. Now for the SPC outlook, we still apparently have a thunderstorm risk for tonight. This is still here, and if we go into tomorrow, same thing. Friday, September 26th, thunderstorms are expected throughout the entire state. And then on Saturday, you thought we were done? Absolutely not. Saturday, September 27th, thunderstorms are possible throughout the entire state again. And for excessive rainfall, not much has changed here either. We, in fact, do have another risk for some isolated flash flooding that goes through tonight into tomorrow, from Greenville to Seneca to Greenwood to McCormick to Edgefield, all the way up to Winsboro and York. And if you go into tomorrow, the entire state of South Carolina has a chance for some isolated flash flooding tomorrow. Again, the entire state of South Carolina has a chance for some isolated flash flooding tomorrow. And then for Saturday, isolated flash flooding is possible for pretty much the north and the eastern side. Goes from like the Tri-County area down into Georgetown, Myrtle Beach, Loreth, Florence, going into Camden, Winsboro, York, Chester, Gaffney, these places. All isolated flash flooding is possible. And as you move into Sunday, still not done. This time it takes a lot of the eastern side. Again, that Tri-County area going into Manning to Georgetown. Pretty much taking over all the Grand Strand and the PD area. And then for Monday, this is when we will start to see some impacts from this area of interest right here inside of the tropics. And that's why we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall that's in effect from the Tri-County area of Dorchester, Berkeley, and Charleston County over into the PD and the Grand Strand area. This is scattered flash flooding, and the fact that it's already this confident this far out, all the way out into Monday of next week, that's not a good sign. And yes, this can increase. It can decrease as well, but for the most part, it's most likely to increase more than anything. Everyone else, though, isolated flash flooding still for everyone else on Monday. And Tuesday as well is also probably going to be another day that we might have to watch for. Now, let's just go in and look at the models just in general. Starting off here at 9 p.m., you can see this shower activity that's going to move its way out. And yes, you'll see some more by around 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning up there inside of the upstate. But for the most part, you continue to push this forward, and it just starts to turn into some shower downpour activity all the way to around 7, 8, 9 a.m. Then as you move even into around 10 to 11 a.m. to noon, look at all that shower activity now dissipating. And then by 1 p.m., you're just starting to see some isolated shower and potentially downpour activity. Now, as you go into the 18Z, so we're going to go all the way to the 24-hour mark. You can see relatively dry, mostly dry right now. And if you go all the way to around 5, 6, 7, 8 p.m., look at all this shower and thunderstorm activity that's going on from the upstate all the way down into the low country into the PD and the Grand Strand area by 8 p.m. tomorrow. And as you go into around 9, 10 p.m., maybe going to around 11 to 12 a.m. Look at all this shower and thunderstorm activity here that pushes all the way up into the upstate, moving into the Midland area. And then moving into the overnight hours, it could potentially be a noisy night. And when I say noisy, I mean thunderstorms going throughout the region as you go into tomorrow night, going into early Saturday morning. And then past that time frame, looking like just some more thunderstorm activity again on Saturday. But it's looking still kind of in between scattered and numerous. I'm not going to say it's definitely not isolated, but I don't think it's widespread either. Definitely on the scattered to numerous side as we go into the next couple of days. Now, it is looking a little bit widespread, like widely widespread, or regionally widespread, as you move into around like that early morning time frame on Saturday, late Friday night. But things seem to dry off a lot as you get into tomorrow, though. Like tomorrow, and then once tomorrow afternoon hits, that's when things start to hit the fan a little bit. But that's it for our short-term future. What about the long-term future? So we're going to start off here at the 48-hour mark. We're going to start right here. As you go on and push this forward, you see things are relatively calm. I mean, yes, you do have some active conditions, but for the most part, we're not seeing anything too bad until you have this monstrosity over here, future Imelda, that's going to push its way up and bring us some conditions. Again, it's still a long ways out, but we're going to go in depth with this one. We're going to actually check it out just because it definitely has a threat for us. And so we usually don't go in depth checking out every single model run, but today we will. Tonight we will. And see what all of them have to say. But that shows it. This one model run, the GFS, has it going more and more, kind of trying to make landfall somewhere in the Grand Strand area of Georgetown County, going near Horry County as well. But that's just one model run, just one. Things can change, so that's not definite yet. Not definite. But after that passes, we're still going to see some heavy rainfall even after Imelda is gone by that time frame, if this was to occur as this model says. And then finally we start to see some dry conditions finally by around like October the 5th, as a high pressure dominates, but some more rainfall will definitely make it through, but definitely not as heavy as it once was. And then after that, that's pretty much all that I have to say for the future. Pretty much all that we have for the future is just this tropical system right here, and then bringing over some leftover moisture with it, and then finally drying off as we get a couple of days into October. So for the most part, it's looking like things will continue to stay active. So now let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of this forecast, and that being the tropics. That being the actual tropics itself. And so you have Gabrielle up there. Gabrielle is done. It's now post-tropical cyclone. Gabrielle is still a 70-mile-per-hour storm, and it will definitely still cause some conditions, some gusty winds, heavy rainfall over there in Portugal and Spain, but nothing obviously for us. Humberto, I checked actually the pronunciations today. I see multiple people calling it Humberto. I've seen people calling it Humberto, but I actually did look at it and look how it actually is supposed to be pronounced, and it's actually supposed to be Humberto. So if they say Humberto, they're saying it wrong. But what is it looking like right now? It is a 60 mile per hour storm, it seems. And as you just go in and check out the actual cone to see where it's actually going, you can see for the most part that it is continuing to make its way up towards kind of just like to the east of us, and that was expected. I wasn't really expecting too much from Humberto at all. I didn't really think it was ever going to really have a threat to reach us in general, but things are still possible. Things can still change, and that's why, I don't say anything too early, just because these things can change until it has that definite curve to where they're like, okay, yes, 100% this will curve, and all ensembles are with it. I will say, yes, for sure, it will curve, and it will get away from us, but it's likely that it will curve. It is expected to turn into a hurricane tomorrow afternoon, either tomorrow afternoon or late tomorrow morning. This will turn into a hurricane, and it will turn into a major hurricane sometime late Saturday night or early Sunday morning. And then once it gets into that major hurricane status, it will stay a major hurricane probably until like late Monday, early Tuesday, and then it will downgrade back down into a hurricane just to the west of Bermuda. But if we go on just and look at the actual, look and see what it actually looks like right now. This is what it looks like as we speak. And if I go on and show you this is what it actually looks like right now. And so it's still spinning, it's still getting its act together, and this is expected as it's going to continue to strengthen even more. What about the actual hurricane models? Again, hurricane models have this thing curving, not being a threat really to South Carolina, and it's just going to turn its way through, not really making threat to any sort of landfall, unless these little outlier models right here are the ones that are correct, and it actually makes its way more towards the west, or goes more north, toward like Maryland, or towards like New York City, or towards Massachusetts, or anything. But again, outliers doesn't mean that it's impossible, though. Doesn't mean that it's impossible. Now, what about the GFS? GFS does the same thing for Humberto. It has it pretty much going more to the north and east and going away. Yes, going away from the actual South Carolina coastline. And then if you go on over towards the GEPS is also on the same page going away from South Carolina. Now, we can also go in and look at the actual euro, because the euro is also another trusted one that we probably should pay attention to as well. But the euro does show both. You probably will see what the euro has to say for Imelda as well. But we're going to wait on that, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But just with Humberto first, don't pay attention to these ones over here. We'll get to these ones in a second. We're just looking at these ones over here. And you can see for the most part, you see a couple outliers here and there, but most of them just eventually end up curving and going out to sea. A lot of them being pretty strong. And speaking of, I mean, if we go and look at the intensity guidance right now has it around category 1 to 2 to maybe even category 3. I think most of them are around category 2 and 3 strength. A couple even getting up to category 4 strength. So it's possible. I mean, it's going to be a major hurricane. It's forecasted to be a major hurricane. And so I think that we can expect at least a category 3. But that's, I mean, pretty much all that I wanted to say about Humberto, just because that's not the real one that we are really watching for. The one that we actually are watching for is Invest 94L, which is obviously future tropical storm Imelda. Now, if we go in and look at what the actual discussion for it says showers and thunderstorms are showing signs of organization and association with a tropical wave located near Hispaniola and the Turks and the Caicos Islands. An area of low pressure is expected to form along the wave tonight or early Friday when it moves near the southeastern Bahamas. This low is then expected to make a tropical depression when it is in the vicinity of the central and the northwestern Bahamas late Friday or over the weekend, and then track back to the northwest or north across the southwestern Atlantic. Interest in the Dominican Republic, Haiti, the Turks and the Caicos Islands, and Bahamas should monitor the progress of the system. Regardless of development, heavy rains and gusty winds are likely across that region during the next couple of days. While there is still, and this is where it actually talks about us over here, while there is significant uncertainty in the long-range track and intensity of the storm, the chances of wind, rainfall, and storm surge impact for a portion of the southeastern U.S. coast is increasing. Again, there is still significant uncertainty in the long-range track and intensity of the system. The chances of wind, rainfall, and storm surge impacts for the portion of the southeastern U.S. coast are increasing. Interest in those areas should definitely monitor the progress of the system as it continues its way to the north and west. Now this has a 80% chance of forming, an 80% chance of forming over the next 48 hours, and a 90% chance over the next 7 days. So this will most likely form. Now, obviously, we've had other times to where we've seen areas have like a 90%, but they end up not forming. This one, don't think that that's going to be the case at all. In fact, that's extremely rare. But the possibility is always there. 10% is still a 10%, no matter which way you flip it. But I doubt that will happen here at all. Doubt that will happen here. Another thing that I do want to show you as well, just look at the ensembles for this and actually what it looks like. So this is what Invest 94 looks like right now. The last part hasn't loaded for it yet. That's why you kind of see this loading screen at times. But you can see that it is pretty much just showing this cluster of shower thunderstorm activity. Yes, you have some areas to the south and east that looks a little bit more prominent. But if you're looking at the center part, it looks relatively strong in the center part in terms of bringing those gusty winds and definitely that heavy rainfall. Now the models. This is the new 18Z models. This is the new 18Z models right here. You can see for the most part, all of the hurricane models, pretty much all of them except for maybe one or two, I count two, all of them have an impact on the U.S. coast in some way, rather it be down in Florida to near Jacksonville or all the way up into Wilmington, North Carolina. But the majority of them have it going somewhere near that South Carolina, Georgia coastline. And I will say that it is still 120 hours out. Some still 144, some even say around 96 hours out until this thing will make potential landfall over into South Carolina at that time frame. But this is now the time, and I said it yesterday, but this is now the time. If you have your hurricane plans have not been dealt with yet, which I mean it is already the end of September. They should have been handled back in June when we started, and May was even hurricane preparedness month. But you know, obviously I know some people just don't decide to. But obviously that's not my room to judge or anything like that. But if they're not prepared, if they are not prepared, go on and do so now. This is about as close to a potential hurricane landfall that we have seen pretty much this season. And this is not the only ensembles that are saying that. The GFS, you have like the median line overall kind of getting close to North Carolina and then leaving, but you still have a lot that gets towards South Carolina at that time frame. And then also over here to the GEPS, most of them, honestly, the GEPS seems like it wants to kind of curve it a little bit more, but again, this was updated a little bit earlier than the hurricane models actually are. So it moves its way more to the east a little bit earlier. And then the intensity model guidance, again, most of them stay around tropical storm, and and there's a couple that get from around category 1, and there's even this one all the way up here that gets all the way to category 2. So, nothing's out the question. But I will say it's going to be somewhere in that tropical storm to category 2 range, and either way, it's still going to be strong. If it is either one of those. Now, that's all that I really have for, the actual, these ensembles and this intensity guidance. What about the European one? European one, if we actually go in and pay attention to Imelda instead of Humberto over here, it actually moved its way over into South Carolina, maybe a bit into North Carolina as well, which is what we were kind of expecting. You have a couple that even turn and try and impact southern Florida as well, which that would be a bit of an interesting twist if that was to happen. But for the most part, most of these just kind of just go its way more to the north and kind of just make it towards either that South Carolina or North Carolina coastline. So that's what those are saying. What about the individual models themselves? I'm going to go on over here towards the actual model. And I'm going to make it all the way over here into the actual forecast, and we're going to move on over into the actual Western Atlantic. And what are each one of them saying? So we already saw the GFS one earlier. We saw that it makes its way through. Doesn't really gets pulled back by Humberto like right after. Humberto is like pretty much passing, and it's already made landfall, and so that might cause an area of concern, because if it stalls, and you remember, if Hurricane Helene last year, it stalled right up there in the western North Carolina, western South Carolina, northern Georgia area, and that's where we saw all that damage at. That's where we saw all the trees obviously going down. We saw all like the flash flooding, like emergencies going on, and rescue missions over there. If this thing does in fact get pulled in by Humberto as it moved its way in, that's just going to cause some more flooding for them up there. And so that would not be the greatest of situation. That would be just another bad situation after having what they dealt with last year up there in the very far upstate of South Carolina, the very far western area of North Carolina. It's a potential that they can get a lot more rainfall if this was to happen as modeled. And so it's a possibility. And so that's why you may want to see it try to get pulled by Humberto earlier and not while it's inland, because if it's inland, it's going to turn around and then stall. But that's what happened. That's what the GFS says, obviously, for tonight. Now, what about the European, just the individual run? Individual run has it making up there towards that same area that Horry County up into North Carolina near Wilmington, and is some concern up there. And then it stalls it kind of stalls up there kind of near like Rock Hill, up towards Charlotte, up towards Lancaster. I believe Lancaster, or I might be making that up actually, excuse me. But kind of like over there just to the north and west of like where Myrtle Beach, Conway, Loris is examples up there like Cheraw or Chesterfield or Bennettsville. But those are just a couple of areas, that can obviously change as well as 130 hours out. But if it does stall up there again, it would cause some more rainfall, and it again gets pulled by Humberto out, causing some more flooding concerns up there for the very far upstate. You also have the Euro AI one, which this one, it kind of moves its way up. It gets pulled in a lot earlier, but since it gets pulled in, it develops more strength. And so this is kind of the pick your poison moment. If you get it more inland, you're going to see some more flooding. If you see it pull inland, you're going to see some more flooding. But if you see it get pulled out to sea, it's just going to build its own strength more and more. And then it makes its way over into that same area up there inside the Grand Strait area. CMC has a completely different scenario. It actually doesn't even make it to South Carolina before Humberto pulls it in, and it just completely gets absorbed by Humberto as it moves its way. I mean, that's kind of a crazy thing to kind of see. Gets completely absorbed and destroyed by Humberto, and then it just moves its way up into the north and east without leaving us. I mean, bring us some rainfall, probably, maybe some storm surge concerns, but for the most part, moved its way through. CMC, this is the best case scenario right here. Absolutely the best case scenario. And then the Icon being the last one. Icon, it's still too far out. I mean, this one only goes out 120 miles. I think 120 hours. But if we go into like the past run, you can see that it actually has it pulling, but it's a lot stronger. I mean, this is like a Category 4, getting close to Category 5 status, but it's not going to make any landfall, obviously, to South Carolina or anything like that. But that would definitely be a bad sign for over there in the Bahamas, though. If this was to occur right here, this would be a very bad situation for them. But that's all the model runs that there really is for me to really talk about. So those are all the possibilities. All of those possibilities can happen. We can see some more flooding up here in the areas that I've potentially already seen some from last year from Helene. You can see some landfall over there inside of the Wilmington into the Myrtle Beach area. You can see it, Humberto completely absorb it, or you can just see it kind of stall down here and then cause some dangerous condition for the Bahamas. This is why yesterday when we were reading it, it said it was just highly uncertain. It's just way too uncertain because all of those possibilities are possible. All of them are. And so that's why we just have to be careful with it. Let's go on now, because we have, for the most part, the drought prediction votes are in. The drought prediction votes are in. If you have not voted inside of the drought prediction yet, go on and do so. And I'll explain it real quick while you're going on to do that if you have not already. If you have no idea what the drought predictions are, it pretty much is just a prediction that we do. It's a prediction that we do, and we see, what's the drought monitor looking like? What is the drought monitor looking like? And we pretty much try to see from the amount of rainfall that we have had this week, and kind of just put into a game kind of to where we see, is there a drought going on? Is there no drought? Is it just normally dry? And so your options are, number one, the drought has expanded. There was a drought that was obviously here in South Carolina last time that we checked. And 56% right now says that it has expanded. 33% says that the drought has stayed the same. So, kind of close to where we had it last week. 11% says that the drought is now gone. Abnormally dry. It's there though. But 0% said that the abnormally dry and the drought is gone. And I think that you could pretty much cross that one out right now. I mean, there's no way that the abnormally dry is gone too. But if I go on, and I already have my prediction, I already know what I'm going to say. But if you check it and see just how much rainfall we've gotten over the past 7 days since we have, since the drought monitor was actually released, you can see that not too much rainfall has followed. Yes, you can see some, pockets of around 1 to 2, inches potentially of rainfall. But I'm not really seeing anything too drought busty kind of. So I'm going to actually be a part of the majority and say that the drought has actually expanded. Let's go on real quick and check it out and see what it is. That's the wrong sound effect. I did not mean to do that one. This is the right one. And so, seems like me and the majority were correct. It seems like that the drought has expanded, which obviously is not good, but we're going to applaud because most of us got it correct. So, again, most of us got it correct. That's great to hear. Great to hear. Glad that 56%. If you are a part of the 44%, I apologize, but you unfortunately did not get it right this week. Next week, though, we will still be here again. We will still be here again Thursday evening, and we will go on and do this again. You have a chance to redeem yourself, but you have to be paying attention. Look at this map right now, because we'll probably show it again some other time later, either this week or next week, most likely next week. But make sure you take a good look at it and then see how much rainfall that you have received and just overall the state trend. And you also have to be paying attention to the forecast as well, because if you see some certain areas not getting a lot of rainfall, that could also impact your decision as well. So I know nobody probably puts that much effort into it, but I'm just hopeful that somebody actually is, but I know probably nobody is. But that is all that we have in terms of the forecast for tonight, really. I mean, the tropics, that's pretty much all I can say, really. I mean, except for you just have to be prepared for it. You just have to be prepared for it. Because it can definitely catch you off guard. And worst case scenario comes to fruition, you're not going to be ready for it. So you have to be ready for the worst. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, though. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Let me go ahead and get the live chat real quick. That's up there, but that'll be fine. Mr. Chris comes in and says, "Good evening, everyone. Hope you all had a great day. Please remember to go and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Share with everyone that you know as well. We're definitely going to need to know." He's absolutely correct. We've had 24 people tune in, and we only have 11 likes so far. That was the right use. But if you are a part of that 13 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free. You can change your mind at any time, and it helps the channel out. Ms. Tolliver says, "Good evening. Hot, muggy day at my house. It was so hot. Berkeley Electric called to request members to reduce energy consumption. Oh, well. How about them tropics? Tropics right now, obviously they're being active right now. We just explained all the stuff that was going on earlier. But don't worry, because here at the South Carolina Weather Channel, you are obviously covered. And it's for free, too. Mr. Chris also comes in and says, "Been keeping up with the storms, and they look then they took a more westward track." And you're absolutely correct. We just saw the actual ensembles earlier. And yes, they are for sure going more and more to the west. How far west? Again, only time will tell. My Nan says, "Hello, Jay. Hello to you." Mr. Anthony says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you." Trail says, "Greetings, everyone. Greetings to you." And then Mr. Oliver says, "Which hurricane model do you favor?" I don't really favor an exact model. I mean, all of them really have their rights and their wrongs. But, I mean, I usually either want to look like the HAFSA or the HAFSB. That one is probably the one that I probably would look at if I was trying to if I had to look at one model, it would probably be one of those, because ensembles are more used to see really just where the track of the storm is going to go, and hurricane models are more used for their strength and how strong they will be for the most part. So if I was to look at a hurricane model for intensity, I would probably look for it for intensity, I should say. And then if I was to look at to see where a hurricane would go, I would more likely look at the ensembles than that. But that is it. Hopefully that answers your question. Mr. Chris also says, "Please don't be scared, be prepared." He's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. You should never be scared in the event of a hurricane or tropical storm, because you should be prepared. And you should be prepared for the worst. If worst comes to worst, you should have all your stuff in place. And obviously, the storm, we're not really expected to evacuate, especially if it's only a tropical storm in Category 1 unless you get like some life-threatening flooding, then obviously that's at your own discretion. But I'm not really looking at anything like, oh, we're gonna have massive evacuation going on unless things change. But for now, it's not looking like that. My mom's inside the chat. She says, hi, Chris, and then hi, everyone. Hello to you. Hopefully you had a great day as well. And that's it. So let's go on now, since we are done talking with the audience for tonight. Let's go on and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, what in the world? 4 locations? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, and then also Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about those locations is because we have people from those locations who tune in pretty much almost nightly. And so that's why we talk about them. Starting off, though, we have San Antonio, Texas first. You have low temperatures tonight at 69, high temperatures tomorrow at 92, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 68. There is indeed no precipitation. Again, no precipitation that is expected really at this time as you move through tonight and as you move into tomorrow. Obviously, I know y'all definitely need the rainfall, but unfortunately, no rainfall. Now, what about severe weather and excessive rainfall? If I go on and check out the SPC outlook, go on and check out anything for excessive rainfall. No severe weather is expected for you at all as you move through the next 8 days or so. But what about excessive rainfall? Seems to be nothing for the next 5 days. Now, Raleigh being the next location that we talk about, and that being low temperatures tonight at 71, high temperatures tomorrow at 85, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 69. There is indeed a chance of thunderstorms tonight and also tomorrow. Thunderstorms are likely. Again, thunderstorms are likely as you move into tomorrow night. But no severe weather is expected. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, you obviously have that chance for some isolated flash flooding as you move from Friday all the way through to Monday. All the way through to Monday. And so obviously that comes with obviously the future Imelda coming in. That could potentially come in and produce some flooding conditions as well as you go later into obviously next week. But I definitely would still keep an eye out for that, though, as you continue through going into this weekend. Just make sure that you stay monitored up for that. Now, the next location after Raleigh, North Carolina, that being Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You have low temperatures tonight at 67, high temperatures tomorrow at 81, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 63. Chance of thunderstorms tonight, and no precipitation is expected as you move through tomorrow. Starting off with severe weather first. No severe weather is expected at this time. And what about excessive rainfall? As we have no severe weather. Excessive rainfall, you in fact kind of have a risk. It's close to Saturday. It's like right on the southern side of Philadelphia. That could expand more into your area, but again, I'll keep you updated on that the more we get closer to it. And then the final location that we talk about outside of South Carolina, that being Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 60, high temperatures tomorrow at 85, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 59. In terms of severe weather, no severe weather is expected at this time. And then for excessive rainfall, indeed, there is no risk at all either. And so other than that, that is all that I have. That is all that I have for those 4 locations. What's going on throughout the entire U.S. as we speak? Right now, we still have to watch for, especially like in Arizona and New Mexico, heavy to excessive rainfall from monsoon thunderstorms. May bring isolated flash and urban flooding today into Sunday. Tropical wave Invest 94 is likely to become a depression by late Friday or over this weekend into the vicinity of the Bahamas. Significant uncertainty. So they're continuing the significant uncertainty, uncertainty that we haven't seen from, tropical, just from a tropical system in a good amount of time now. remains in the tracking intensity, but chances for impacts to the southeastern U.S. coast are increasing, and so that's what you see with all the forecasts. The chance for impacts are increasing steadily as we get more and more into each and every update. Each and every update looks more like this will cause some sort of impact to us. But will it? That's the main question. And so that's why you should go and hit the subscribe button to the channel. We have 586 subscribers right now, trying to get to 600. We are 14 away. Go on and share it with all the people that you know. This is definitely probably one of the most crucial times to be sharing it to everybody that you know, because of this obvious storm that may impact us. In what ways? Again, we don't know exactly, but this definitely is something that you should be sharing around, making sure that everybody is not caught off guard and everyone is prepared for the worst case scenario. Other than that, though, we do have some red flag warnings going on up there inside of Washington State and also northern Oregon, and then some air quality alerts going on in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. And after that, that's all that I see. So let me go in and check out the chat one more time. Connor's Adventures come in. I hope it doesn't impact real hard like Helene was in 2024. I hope it doesn't either. I hope it does not either, but there's always that possibility, and so they have to be for sure prepared for that. Mr. Chris says again, please hit the like button and subscribe button if you haven't already. Also share, absolutely correct. And then he says have a great night and get some rest. Stay safe and hydrated. He's absolutely correct there as well. And we're going to wrap it up just like he just wrapped it up. I will be back tomorrow morning with your Friday morning forecast update. I was not expected to make a video tomorrow evening because obviously I will be having my birthday celebration tomorrow evening. So I was not expecting, but now that this is looking a little bit more on the more impactful side, I might come like tomorrow afternoon and just do like a little tropics update. Not really a full-fledged forecast, but I might just come in and do like a little maybe excessive rainfall, severe weather, severe weather type stuff. I might come in and maybe do low temperatures or something like that. Just, add that stuff in, but, not make it too big. But add that in, and then after that, probably we'll get out of there after that. But that'll probably be like tomorrow afternoon, so no 9 o'clock p.m. call tomorrow evening, but I will be here tomorrow morning. So everyone have a fantastic rest of your Thursday evening, and we only got Friday to get through, and we will be at the weekend.